Ladies and gentlemen, he was awful. Awful. 4 of 16 passing, 47 yards, 1 interception, sacked twice, had a passer rating of 13.3.5. But Shedeur Sanders had the worst per play efficiency rating by any quarterback in any game this season. It was bad. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it. This smells. I don't know whether Shedeur Sanders is an NFL quarterback or not. And I don't blame anybody for assuming and surmising that he may not be. But how does he get 0 snaps with the first team?
Stephen A. Smith goes off about Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
And that is Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, the QB2, backup quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, finally got to see some action. Dillon Gabriel, the starting quarterback, goes down with a concussion. Myles Garrett is having a hell of a day. Sacked Lamar Jackson 4 times. Has 10 sacks in the last 3 games. Just a monster. That's what Myles Garrett is. Just a monster. Clearly doing his job. There was a pick 6. There were 3 turnovers also committed by the Ravens. They struggled miserably against the Browns defense on Sunday. The problem is the Browns couldn't score. And here was the even bigger problem. After Dillon Gabriel exited the game early in the third quarter due to the concussion, he was replaced by Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, unfortunately, Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut didn't go according to plan. I know he has the same perfect timing, the song he made, but wasn't the best timing only because he doesn't have a lot of reps with the first team. And right now, it's like, you know what? He's set up for failure in Cleveland. Now, most quarterbacks that are trying to get into the league wish they had the opportunity Shedeur had to be thrown out there in the middle of nowhere and try to perform above expectations. But if you're Shedeur, I know he was a little heartbroken, a little out of it. His former teammate had to kind of sit next to him and kind of, rock with him, see how he's doing. But Shedeur, you got to put that game behind you. You're going to have an opportunity to be the Week 12 starter with Dillon Gabriel in the concussion protocol. So this game didn't go well, but now he'll have a full week to practice with the first team. He should be able to play better, but this debut wasn't a good look. But at the end of the day, you got to wash it away and be ready for Week 12.
Who finally got a chance to be in a game. Ladies and gentlemen, he was awful. Awful. 4 of 16 passing, 47 yards, 1 interception, sacked twice, had a passer rating of 13.3.5. Ran for his life, scrambled for 3 carries, 16 yards. Only notable rookie quarterbacks who completed 25% or fewer passes in a game include Hall of Famers Terry Bradshaw and Joe Namath, as well as Eli Manning.
Well, at least he's in good company with those Hall of Famers that have a bad quarterback rating. But again, just a bad look for Shedeur Sanders. And, the mainstream media, they're going to make it seem like he's the victim. It's just a lot of BS going on with the Cleveland organization. If you wanted Dillon Gabriel and you drafted him, cool, but why draft Shedeur Sanders? You could have left that up to another team, or you could have went undrafted. Why do this if you weren't going to give him a fair shake to be a starter, or at least play for opportunity to be a starter in Cleveland? Everything was set up for Shedeur Sanders going to Cleveland. You got Joe Flacco, a 50-year-old quarterback, and a bunch of, second and third string quarterbacks trying to fight for that starting job. It was a perfect fit just as far as on paper, but the Cleveland Browns had different plans. So again, Shedeur, terrible game, played like trash, but understandably playing like trash because he didn't get a chance to practice with the starters. But you got to be mentally ready, go through that playbook. Even if you're not playing, be locked in and engaged, and you kind of got to feel your way through the game from the bench. Hopefully Shedeur Sanders will have a better Week 12.
But Shedeur Sanders had the worst per play efficiency rating by any quarterback in any game this season. It was bad. Completed his first couple of passes, and then after that, we couldn't even see if he was a quarterback. It was that bad. Finished 4 of 16. 4 of 16 passing for 47 yards and 1 interception. Before I go into my take about this, let's hear from Shedeur Sanders and what he had to say. Play that.
It's time for me to step up. I don't think I played good. I don't think I played good at all. I think it's a lot of things, we need to look at, during the week, go and just get comfortable, even throwing routes, with Jerry and throwing routes with all those guys. The most I can ask for is opportunity. That's an uncontrollable thing that I'm not able to control, and that's not nothing I should speak on, just being the quarterback of this team, this franchise. They gave me an opportunity. I ain't do up to my expectation enough to get us a win. I just got to take that one to the chin.
Again, Shedeur, I know you're frustrated, but you got to have your wording right because they're going to tear it down within the media. You're kind of, throwing the Cleveland Browns out there like, you know what? I didn't get a fair shake and I don't have a choice. Maybe you have somewhat of a choice. You just got to wow people in practice. Go above and beyond. Get there a couple hours early before practice starts. Be out there on the field already sweating when everybody gets there. You got to go above and beyond with this Cleveland organization. They're not being ran right. Again, Shedeur, don't be in the victim Olympics. Handle it well. You're trying. First you were mute in that interview a couple weeks ago, and then now you're trying to rally the team together, show support for Dillon Gabriel, and it is what it is. But just step up to the plate and be ready for Week 12.
He was in the game since early in the third quarter. All the offense could produce was 4 first downs, 64 yards, and not a single point. NFL scouts, aficionados said the game appeared to be too quick for him, that he routinely held onto the ball too long and was subjected to immense pressure, 11 quarterback pressures and 2 sacks, by the way.
Well, he's been dealing with that since Colorado, his college days, holding on the ball too long, taking hits, unnecessary punishment, not letting the ball go. You're not going to get a home run play every single down. So if you're Shedeur, you got to get out of that. Throw the ball away. Try to evade a couple tackles, but just holding the ball for no reason and getting hit, that's not going to work out in the NFL. Maybe you can get away with that a little bit in college, but it's starting to transfer over to the NFL. That's one of his flaws. Is the game too fast for Shedeur? Maybe so, because he hasn't had a chance to really be out there in game speed. Practice is one thing, but going out there or being thrown out there, it's a whole different type of ball game. Shedeur Sanders, man, step your game up. You got an opportunity to practice with the first string, and hopefully he'll have a better Week 12 than he did in his debut.
They want to bring that up. They also want to bring up the fact that Cleveland didn't convert a third down until Sanders took off for a 5-yard scramble late in the third quarter and finished 2 of 14 for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it. This smells. I don't know whether Shedeur Sanders is an NFL quarterback or not. And I don't blame anybody for assuming and surmising that he may not be. But how does he get 0 snaps with the first team? How a player is able to say they were unfamiliar with his snap count? He wasn't prepped at all. You're a QB2. Your QB1 is an undersized dude, a hit away from getting concussed and taken out of the game. Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. He knows a thing or two about coaching football. How unprepared did Shedeur Sanders look? Suddenly he's not comprehending plays?
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't practice with the first string. His count is off. The whole team is going to be off. Yeah, great opportunity for him, but the team is in disarray. If you got a quarterback that you haven't been practicing with, it's all out of whack. You're not going to do good. So it all fell on Shedeur Sanders, but ultimately, it's an organizational type of thing. They're not being ran right. They're not preparing their second-string quarterback to potentially get into the game if a Dillon Gabriel is hurt, like he did with the concussion. He wasn't prepared. The organization, they're real flawed, and hopefully he'll have a better opportunity. They take it serious for Week 12. Give him a fair shake. Let's see if he's really made to be an NFL quarterback. Allow him to really practice, do his thing, and hopefully, again, have a better Week 12 because he's really auditioning for the other teams in the NFL. I don't see this Cleveland Browns thing lasting long for Shedeur Sanders.
Suddenly, he doesn't know the playbook. Suddenly, he doesn't know what's going on. That's not the reputation that we've ever heard about Shedeur Sanders. We've heard he's incredibly familiar with the playbook. We've heard that he's very, very smart. Now, the knock against him is that he's about the why. He's not somebody that just does what he's told. He wants to know why. That's true. but it smells. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it smells to me. I really viewed him as being set up to fail. Or at least not prepared to succeed. Maybe set up to fail is too strong because it speaks to the intent of a malice nature by the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, which I would not do. I'm not going to impugn that man's integrity in any way like that. But can we at least say that he wasn't positioned to succeed? Can we say that?
And I think that's fair. Now, set up for failure, meaning like, you know what, the organization isn't being ran right, I'll go for that. But we can't label Shedeur Sanders being a victim. He's just playing for a bad franchise. They don't know what to do with their QB situation. The Deshaun Watson experiment, that went wrong. Flacco was cool, but looks like they tried to carry him over to this season. And then with the Dillon Gabriel situation, then drafting Shedeur, they're all over the place. So it really looks like he's set up for failure, but he's just playing for a bad franchise. If this was a different franchise, this wouldn't be happening with Shedeur Sanders. He'll have a chance to practice with the starters, not just play with the second and third string people, and then all of a sudden he gets in with the starters and then people don't know what to do. They don't know his count. So, but unfortunately, it was just a bad thing for Shedeur Sanders being drafted by the Cleveland Browns. But again, can't have that victim mentality. If you're Shedeur, shake this off, be ready for week 12, and prove to all the haters that you belong in the NFL.